Essential equipment, what we use and what we don't. Before we go any further in this video, Fran's back. Hello. Hello. I do have a wife still, look. Fran's back on video. Welcome back to the van. Yay. I've been doing a lot of filming in the van and I've been doing it all on my own. But I have been accompanied with Pop and Biscuits, as many of you that watch our videos will know. So I'm not completely alone. There are so many items that we've now acquired since we've had our red campervan and now this motorhome. It felt like too many to put into one video. So we've split it out in hopefully a logical format. This one is essential equipment. A later video will be essential accessories. And although one or two items in the accessories video you might look at and go, well, was that an accessory or was it equipment? Either way, it's just going to keep the videos a little bit shorter. So please bear with us and please look out for the next video for the accessories. It's probably a good time to mention that most of the items that you'll see in these two videos, unless I state otherwise, are actually available from our Amazon storefront shop. Please check out the link below this video. It's very easy to access. If you click on the link, everything's laid out in the same format as the two videos that we're going to have on the channel. It makes finding the items that we're showing you today easy to find. If you do buy anything from it, we are very grateful. We do earn a small commission from it. But of course, you are using your own Amazon account. So of course, we don't see any personal information whatsoever. But we do receive a small commission, which we are very grateful for if you choose to purchase something. First off is, of course, electrical cable, or EHU as we like to call it in the camping world. Now, unfortunately, not all cables are created equal. So the one that we recommend, and we have always recommended on our channel, everyone, is a cable with a 2.5mm core. The reasons for this are heavily discussed in this video. You may want to go and check that out. In essence, when hooking up, particularly to a 16 amp socket that many campsites now have, if you have the other option cable, which is 1.5mm core, you're kind of running it almost at its limit, and it's just recommended that you don't. In fact, both of the big camping groups say that you need a 2.5mm core cable. It's just common sense. Unfortunately, I'm aware of at least one other YouTube channel that still has a link to an Amazon site that has a 1.5mm cable, and it's just not the recommended thing to do. We would not do that on this channel. I would always suggest that you use the 2.5mm cable. The next thing, of course, is how long do you want the cable? Now, when we first had our red Transporter T6, we bought like a starter pack. We'd never been camping before in our lives, so we just basically haven't got a clue. At the end of the day, everything's new to us once, isn't it, before we do it? So we bought one, and it had a 10-metre cable, and the very first campsite we went to, which was, where was it? I can't remember. Llanberis in Wales. We couldn't reach the socket. We had to move the van out of the position that Morris Leisure Group wanted us to park it in, because we just couldn't reach it with a 10-metre cable. Now, in the forums that I followed, there's always debate about how long you want the cable to be. Some people suggest you carry two 10-metre cables, and that way, if you need a longer one, you just join them up together. Some campsites don't like you joining up cables, and I personally am not a fan of it either. So for me, I just go with the safe option. So the one that we use is 25 meters long. Yes, it does mean extra weight. Yes, it does mean it takes a few extra seconds to unravel it. But it does also mean that the cable will always reach the socket wherever we're parked at on whatever pitch we're in. However, moving neatly on from there, we keep our cable on a cable tidy. Now, the cable tidy, of course, is quite handy, and we're happy to use it, but it does present its own problems because it can encourage people to leave the unused part of the cable coiled up. Well, that's just a massive no-no. If you keep a cable coiled up and you're using, let's be honest, it can be many different items in the van at any one time. That cable can heat up. I think it's called induction. Now, the problem with induction is when it heats up and it can't breathe because it's all coiled together, it is a fire hazard. The fire service say it, an electrician friend of 50 years has said it, the camping group say it. You must unwind the whole cable. But of course, I do understand that with 25 meters, it's really tempting to leave some of it on the reel. You just shouldn't do it, everyone. You need to unwind it completely. It needs the air to go around it, basically. What I would ask you to consider if you're new to camping is, when you look at this cable here, this is your only connection between your van and the campsite. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, what's the problem there? The problem is you're using a lot of electrical, or you could be using a lot of electrical items in your van, including some that you may not be thinking of. In our van, for instance, we've got a Truma 6E combi boiler. If we're running that on full power on electric, I think that's about 1800 kilowatts of power that it's using all on its own. The fridge that we have in this van is an absorption fridge, and an absorption fridge, if I can say absorption. Can you say absorption?
Absorption.
See, Frank can say absorption. It's because I'm from Birmingham. With an absorption fridge, they are actually quite power hungry. They use a lot of power. We may be using a toaster. We may be using a microwave. At the end of the day, all that you're using is going down this one cable, and that's why you want a quality cable with a 2.5mm core. It's probably also worth noting that some of the items that you use, when you first turn them on, particularly I think it's the microwave, and it might even be the Truma heating system, the initial surge of power that unit takes from the electrical supply is even higher. So again, it's just another reason why you do need a good quality cable in your van. That's the one that we recommend, and that's the one that's available in our Amazon storefront shop. I have in front of me 2 adapters. Why do we need these adapters? Well, of course, if you live in the UK, you'll recognise this one. This one is a standard 13-pin plug, and what this enables you to do is to connect this electric hookup to your house. Maybe it's a friend's house, maybe it's a relative's house. Either way, let's be honest, and I've said it before, it's free electric. You'll need to use one of these to get it to fit. But then maybe you're in Europe, and those Europeans, they just like to be different, don't they? So they have a different style plug. So we have an adapter again for the electric hookup, but this one works. In Europe, I think that's probably now covered it for the electrics, unless you can think of anything different. No. My glamorous assistant that's finally come back to the videos. You've only had me with the glamour up till now. It's a lack of hair that ruins it. So what goes naturally with electric? Water. Well, it doesn't, of course, does it? But that's the next on my list. At the end of the day, we need to get fresh water into the van. Now, we could go for the manual option. A jug. I think it looks a little bit like a Womble, doesn't it? Is it Wombles? Uncle Bulgaria or whatever? Does that look a bit like Uncle Bulgaria?
It's a clanger.
It's clanger.
It's a clanger.
Maybe it's a clanger. So, of course, most people will use a hose. Now, again, like electrical cables, people have different opinions about what hoses to use. We would only recommend, and I have got it placed here, ready. I say ready. It's awkward to get at because there's a big electrical cable in the way, which I'm now going to move. This is a flat food grade hose, everyone. Now, of course, the question is, why does it need to be food grade? And I know there's a lot of people on campsites that just use normal hoses. The reason we use a food grade hose is because A, it's recommended that you use food grade hose, and maybe I'm just a sucker for things that are recommended. But joking aside, more logically, the reason it's a food grade hose is you need to think about what you're going to be doing with that fresh water. Now, some people drink from the fresh water tank, not directly, of course, from a tap. Or some, like ourselves, take bottled water. Now, of course, if, like ourselves, you decide when you're camping you're going to use bottled water for drinking, but obviously the water from the tank for washing up and showers, etc., you might be asking yourself, well, why do I need a food grade hose? It's a good question. We treat the water every 6 months, and we always fill it up with one of these. And I think one of the reasons we do it is, at the end of the day, you are using that water for more than just washing up. You may be doing your teeth, for instance. You may be taking a shower. It's just best to keep the water as clean as it possibly can be. And at the end of the day, the precautions that we're doing, they're logical. And it just means that if you want to drink the water from the tank, which at the end of the day, it's designed to be drunk from the tank, that's the hose that you want. Now, we purchased 2 of these hoses, and they came with an adapter. Yeah, it's not that one though, but I do need that in a minute. Thank you. The adapter's not here with me at the second, but it allows you to connect the two together. And it also, of course, comes with an adapter for the tap. Now, when you go to campsite, if you've never been to a campsite before, everyone, we've found that some campsites, these are on already, and some are not. Now, I do wonder if some of the ones that are on already is because some people have forgotten to take them off. That's the key thing. You need to remember, of course, that when you're leaving campsite, that you don't just disconnect the hose. This will be a fully serviced pitch, of course, I guess, on this example. You also need to be removing this adapter because they're just really handy to have. Is that it for water? We've done the jug, or Uncle Bulgaria, or whatever he's called, and we've done the pipe. Is there anything else? So, of course, we treat our freshwater tank with PuriClean. I think there's also a product called Purisol that you can use. I think both are in our Amazon storefront shop. But anyway, we tend to use this twice a year, so basically every 6 months. That's everything for that. But, of course, once the water's in the van, the water at some point is going to come out of the van. So what do we use for that? We use something called a Wastemaster. Now, the one that we've chosen is actually called a Wastemaster Economy. It's called an economy because I think it's just slightly thinner plastic. It also means it's cheaper, but it still does exactly the same job. I'll put a little inset video of it now. It allows us to empty the grey water very easily. If you've gone all posh, like we occasionally do, and you go onto a fully serviced pitch, then you haven't got a faff with the Wastemaster, have you, to get rid of the grey water? You can connect something called, we use, a Colapz pipe system. Now these, as Fran is she's going to give it a pull. And I know we're known for our little carry-on clips, but she's going to give it a pull. How nice was that? Do you know, I might just do that again. You have to bear with us while we're having fun. It even makes a tune. I can name that tune in 4. Are you ready? Would you like to give it a pull? Enough of that. Don't switch off, everyone. We're not always like this. So these extend from, I think it's 50 centimetres to 100 centimetres. Now, we've got these in a pack, and I think there's 4 pipes in a pack, and they come in a handy carrier bag. Just check out the link below the video and you'll see what we've got. We've actually ended up with 2 of these because, again, as it sings to me, like with the electric hookup cables, sometimes on a fully serviced pitch, the drain is further away than you think. So we've decided that having 8 of those
is better than 4.
Is better than 4. Is that it for water? Almost. Of course, the other thing that uses water in the van is the toilet. Now, we've covered how to use the toilet, and what I mean by that, of course, is how to sort out the toilet cassette underneath the toilet. Don't think I need to tell anyone watching this video how to use the toilet. We discuss how to do the cassette in this video. Maybe you should go and check that out, or maybe you want to go and check that out. But anyway, what chemicals do we use in the toilet? We use either Aqua Blue, which I haven't got with me today, or the more environmentally friendly Aqua Green. Now, personally, for us, we don't find the green quite as good at masking what goes into the toilet as the blue, although I appreciate the green is obviously better for the environment. It's your choice, it's personal choice. We've used both. There are some campsites that actually say that you have to use the environmentally friendly one, so of course it's always good to have this in the van anyway, but we just find that the blue just works a little bit better for us. Personal opinion. Next, of course, we use, and I'll put a picture of it on screen now, a lubricant. And I think we tried to make a joke about lubricant before, so I think we'll move away from that one because the viewers are going to be switching off in a minute. So, this lubricant is used for the rubber seals, basically, on the toilet cassette. And we just make sure that we do that once a year. It's not something that we're having to do all the time. Just to keep everything working correctly, I guess. And then finally, to end with the whole water thing, the grey water tank can occasionally, of course, smell. Now, there are ways that you can mitigate that, and one of the ways is leaving the drain plug open, of course, so the air can get in. But either way, at some point, you may decide that you want to flush that tank out. So we would recommend, it's called Fenwicks, and again, it's in our Amazon storefront shop. You pour some of that in, it just make the grey water tank smell all nice and lovely again. I think that's it everyone, from an electric and a water point of view. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So the next one is safety. I'm reading this because I'm trying to keep up with what I've got. There's so many things on this list. So of course you should have in your van, and if it's been professionally built, it will have it in already. You should have a smoke alarm like the one in the picture now, and of course a carbon monoxide detector. Now I think with the carbon monoxide detectors they have a lifespan. Maybe even the smoke alarm has a lifespan. I'm not sure. But certainly the carbon monoxide detectors, I think they have like a 5-year or something lifespan. Don't quote me on that, everyone. So it's just making sure that you have one. They're in the correct place. They're working. You're testing them periodically at the end of the day. Next one is a fire extinguisher and blanket set.
Yes.
Bit of a no-brainer. I'm not going to say any more about it, really. You're in a vehicle that's got gas and electric. You need one. We're literally going to leave it at that.
Yes.
On the next one, and again, I haven't got this scattered around with me, so I'll put a picture in the video now, is a glass punch, I would call it, but basically it's a way, of course, a glass hammer.
Glass hammer, yes.
I thought glass hammers were literally hammers made out of glass, but anyway. So this, of course, joking aside, in the event that tragically you're involved in some accident and you need to get out of the vehicle, you'll be smashing the glass with this item. It also comes with, at the other end of it, a cutter, which is designed to be able to cut the seatbelt off you because at the end of the day, when a seatbelt, as you probably know, everyone, when you're involved in an accident, the seatbelt will actually pull tighter into the seat. So if you're struggling to get out for whatever reason, again, these are things we don't want to be thinking of, but it just means that you can cut yourself out and hopefully escape whatever's happened. So we always keep that in the front cabin of the van, because ultimately you don't want it buried in a drawer at the back of the van, do you, in the event of an accident. We also take a food thermometer now. Have we got that in the van? We haven't got it in the van. I'll put a picture of it. We have got it. It's probably in one of our previous videos. Now,
that's one of those items that you bring with you in whenever you come into the van. Exactly.
I think when you're watching this video, everyone, there's different people have different views on how much stuff you want to buy specifically for the van versus the stuff you're happy to bring from home. There's two sides of that coin for me. Yes, of course, it's more cost if you duplicate everything that you've got in your motorhome or campervan versus what you've got at home. But I like to also mitigate some of that stuff that you have to keep bringing back to the van. At the end of the day, when we're going away in the van, we're all excited. We want to get in the van and we just want to drive. But of course you can't do that, can you, with a campervan or motorhome? You got to bring yourselves, obviously. You got to bring the clothes. I don't mean just the ones you're wearing, of course. But you've got to bring a lot of other paraphernalia. So for me, I do like having quite a few items that are specific, basically specifically stay in the van, because it just makes it so much easier than carting them all back and forth from the house to the van. But yes, the food thermometer is one that we use at home, and then we bring it with us. What else do we need? A travel kit. Now that's currently sitting, it's actually sitting
underneath
just
us,
below where I'm sitting now. I'll put an image on screen of it now. It's the standard stuff, warning triangle, fluorescent vest, that kind of stuff. Spare bulb kits, because you never know. Now, of course, there is also a European version of that, because the Europeans have extra requirements, including, I believe, in fact, I know you have to have 2 breathalyzer kits, and those 2 breathalyzer kits have to be within date, and I think the date is only about 2 years. Depends on the make, I guess. So these are things you need to consider, particularly if you're travelling around Europe. And another inset picture, a spare fuse pack, because again, at the end of the day, if something does go wrong, it's so much easier if you've got these items already in the van rather than you having to travel around to try and find a replacement. Are we doing okay?
Yep.
Fran would say that. Have we got a coffee?
Yes.
Oh, I see Fran's packed a coffee. You see, I always do better when Fran's sitting next to me. It's not just because I keep tickling her leg, but she's not telling that I'm tickling her leg. It is a leg I'm tickling, by the way. So, what next on our equipment list? Well, we have an oil-filled radiator. We had it when we had the red campervan, didn't we? The wattage is low enough to not upset most electric hookups on campsite, But you may say, of course, well, we've got a perfectly good heating system in the van, why have we got it? At the end of the day, that perfectly good heating system, of course, could stop working.
Yeah.
And providing we're on an electric hookup, it would just help take the chill off.
Yes.
And because it's oil filled, even when it's not actually on, it's still, yeah, there's still heat coming off it for quite a while, isn't it? So we love it. It fits in our under sink cupboard in the washroom. I just think we should have one. It's just it's kind of almost like a fail safe. If one system fails, we've got another that we can use.
Yeah, it's like the kettle. So we've got one electric, which we use all the time. And when we had the camper van, we really only use the hob version.
On the gas.
On the gas.
Therefore, that'll be in the next video, everyone. Chairs. Now, for us, we've got one double because we like to sit together. Hopefully I'll put some little hearts or something going around there, and then depends how I feel in the edit, everyone. And we have two separate chairs to keep one Alice and one Oliver happy and comfortable. All of them have got like little cup holder things in the handles and stuff. Again, these are available in the Amazon storefront, but there is such a wide choice of chairs. Yeah. It's entirely up to yourselves. Well, everything on this video is entirely up to yourselves. But we've chose some, I think they're Camper. They're a well-known brand. Yeah. K-A-M-P-A, I think it is. And then to go with that, we've got a little table. Now, our little table is, it's little.
It's very little.
Maybe one or two people, when they walk past us on site, think, could they not get a bigger table? It does the job, you see.
It does, yeah.
It's very easy to store.
Yeah, compact.
I'll put a little image on screen of it now. It's a little diddy table, and it does exactly what I need it to do, and that is effectively keep stuff off the floor.
Yes.
That's all it needs to do. And it does it really well. We keep a handy multi-tool, and I'm going to lean towards the camera and reach it. Why do we keep a multi-tool? Well, because I don't want to be coming to the van with a whole socket set and set of screwdrivers. A multi-tool, by definition, has lots of different things in it, and they're just really handy to have. In fact, the very first trip we did to Clanberris, we found when we were setting up the TV that we needed a screwdriver. We had one, because the multi-tool had screwdrivers.
Yes.
Now, I never did Scouts when I was young. What was the female version? Girl Guides, was it?
Yeah, the Girl Guides, the brownies.
Brownies, did you ever do any of those?
No. Mum was a brown owl.
Okay. I've never been a brown owl. But you should always be prepared, I believe, is what they normally say. So that's a useful thing to have, to always be prepared. Gas bottle spanner. It sounds obvious, but you may need one. Now, obviously, if you've got a refillable system, like I think Gaslow and Safe Fill or whatever they are, which we're going to cover in a future video, everyone, then you may not need this. But we do it the old-fashioned way at the moment. We have two 6-kilogram Caligas bottles. Apparently, they're like gold dust at the time of filming this video, everyone. So I feel quite lucky that we've got them. It is definitely the most. It's certainly more expensive way of using gas. We appreciate that. But although we use the van quite a lot, we've still yet to empty the one 6-kilogram bottle. We haven't started the other 6-kilogram bottle yet. And the investment that you need to make for the safe fills or whatever other refillable system can be at least £200, £300, maybe more, depending on if you want 2 bottles, etc. So we have yet to decide that that's worthwhile doing for us. Anyway, if you have these bottles like we have, of course, you need a spanner just to disconnect the empty one and put the full one on. Talking of bottles, because I like my gadgets, how do you know when that gas bottle is empty? Now, maybe you've learnt some trick. I don't know. You pick them up and give it a shake. Maybe you just know by the weight of it. I don't know. There's somebody out there somewhere probably knows a way of doing it. I like my gadgets. So I use... There's a few different versions of this. This one's a Truma version. You basically you press it against the can, and it does a sound. And it'll either be red because there's no gas there, or it'll be green because there is gas there. And obviously you just get further down the bottle till you find where the gas is. There's at least 2 makes I know of. I can't remember which make is in our Amazon storefront. You don't have to have these. At the end of the day, you're going to know when the gas bottle runs out, because your cooker's not going to come on. Sounds obvious. But I like to know. And I think it's a requirement when travelling on Eurotunnel. You can't fit a motorhome on a Eurostar train. If you stick your Campervan and motorhome on a Eurotunnel train, although it's not guaranteed they're going to ask you in particular, they can request that you prove how much gas is in the bottle, because I think there has to be a maximum of 80% in the bottle, which I think is the maximum they're supposed to have anyway. So this is just a handy way of doing it, and I like my gadgets, and I was prepared to spend the money. Now this one isn't in our storefront, but windscreen cover. Now again, when we had the red Campervan, we just used, I shouldn't say just, we used the insulation that you fitted on the inside of the glass,
which was a bit cumbersome and not so easy to put all the like popper things on the windows.
It's fiddly,
very fiddly,
particularly when you're manoeuvring around interior mirrors and stuff. They kind of do the job, but as anyone that's been camping in vans for a while will know, the condensation that gets trapped between that cover, which ultimately is inside the van, and the glass, which is obviously cold from the outside of the van, is horrendous. You wake up in the morning, particularly as there's 4 of us in the van, and there's water streaming on the inside of the glass. So we use, and I'll put an image on screen now, cover made by TaylorMade. Other manufacturers do the same, of course. And we love our TaylorMade windscreen cover. We get absolutely zero condensation in this van, because the van, at the end of the day, because the cover's on the outside, the van is allowed to breathe in the way it's designed to breathe. So we just don't get pools of condensation inside. We would hardly recommend it. They do a few different options, and if you go onto the website, I'll put a link in the description below, everyone. You need to be confirming whether or not your particular van's got Remus blinds on the doors, etc. But anyway, take a look. Well worth a punt. We can't be doing that well. Are we getting near to the end of this list? We're getting near to the end. It's amazing. I hope you're still watching. Otherwise, we are literally talking to ourselves. Although we're not, because Alice and Oliver are actually sitting nice and quietly in the chairs in the front, but then they're quiet because they've got iPads on their lap. Right, so now I'm going to level with you. Yes, that is a bit of a point. I'm going to discuss a few things that we don't currently have. They're in our Amazon storefront shop, but we've yet to find that we need them. The first one is levelling ramps. Now, every time we go to site, I make a point of walking around the campsite, partly because I'm filming it, because I'm doing a campsite review for you lovely viewers that watch our channel, and partly because I like to have a little nose. Let's see how many people have got levelling ramps under their vans. Now, of course, the whole concept of keeping your van level is very dependent on the pitch that you parked on, and not every pitch, even on the same campsite, will be the same, of course. And some that say it's a level pitch, well, they may be sometimes being a little lenient with the truth. But anyway, the reality is you do want your van relatively level. However, for all the campsites we've been to, we have yet to actually find that we needed them, which is probably a good job because we don't currently have them. Now, I know this was more of an issue on older vans, but on newer vans, my understanding is that the fridge, they used to be problematic if the van wasn't almost perfectly level, whereas a modern fridge like we have in this van, it's a 2020 van at the end of the day, seems to be able to tolerate the van not being level without any problems whatsoever. The only thing, of course, you need to consider as well when you're talking about the level of the van is where the grey, or should I say the wastewater is going. Our grey wastewater tank is in the middle of the van, and everything that's water related is behind that. So, of course, when we're on a pitch, what we do not want to be doing is nose up. Then we would need the levelling ramps, and we need them at the back. You need to make sure that the van is at least level or very slightly nose down, of course, and that way all the water's draining into the grey water tank. But at the moment, we just haven't used them. What next to do with the site? Oh, of course, if you want your van perfectly level, then you could use a spirit level. I'll put an image on screen now. Again, we have obviously not used that. But of course, you do want the van relatively level, because even if you ignore the facts of the fridge and the water going into the grey water tank, you don't want to be walking up or downhill every time you're walking around in your van, do you? So obviously, in any extreme, I would certainly be wanting the ramps, but we just haven't needed them so far. And then another one is grip mats. Now, if you're on a hard standing pitch, of course, you wouldn't need these. I'll put an image on screen now. But effectively, a grip mat is what it is. You are technically meant to put them under the tyre when you pull up, rather than using them when you realise that you're stuck and you can't get out. But either way, I'm sure it would work. But ideally, you're meant to place them under the tyre when you first park up on a soft ground pitch, effectively, so a grass pitch or whatever. and they can help you get out, particularly if obviously it chucks it down the rain like it does a lot in the UK, and you find that your lovely pitch is now quite muddy. So grip mats might be something that you want to consider. I do think we've reached the end of this video. Everyone, thank you very much for getting this far. Have we reached the end of the video? Is it Orinoco? What's his name? I don't know. Clanger? I can't work out what he was. Have we finished? Yes, we've finished. Have we finished?
Yes, we've finished.
Now, as we said at the beginning of the video, there's a lot of items, and we're not suggesting that every single camper needs every single item in this video, but hopefully this video has at least been food for thought. You may have looked at stuff and thought, oh, I haven't considered that. Now, what I realised when we prepared for this video today is I just basically sat there and I totted up the cost if you were to have everything that we've shown you today in this video. Would you like to know what that was? It's just under £800, which I just can't believe. I think we need money floating on the video now, don't we? We'll put some money down. I won't be able to catch the money, of course, because it's all green screen, but £800. When we purchase these vehicles, they're expensive, but maybe what we don't know or what we don't realise is that expense hasn't stopped there, is it?
No.
It's not just the running and the servicing costs. It's not just a habitation check, of which this vehicle is about to have one. It's all the equipment that we may choose to take with us. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Fran has been here today, can you believe it, in a video. She will be appearing more often because, of course, we will be travelling around a lot this year, and Fran does travel with us, you know. Thank you very much for watching. If you did find the video informative, hit that thumbs up button for us, please. It really does make a difference, and it tells YouTube's algorithms it was a good video and more people should watch it. If you're not subscribed, please look for it. Aqua, you normally do this with me. Where's the link going to be? Please look for a link. It's going to appear just about there above my head in a few seconds. Click on it. It's completely free to do so, but it does show your support, helps build the channel, and it means you can just follow us along on our journeys. It doesn't obligate you to watch every video, of course, but we don't mind if you do. Have a good one, everyone. See you on the next one.